thank you for everything that you've done. We really appreciate you representing us and those that believe in smaller government. Just as a more general question, what can be done to stop the creep of destroying the Constitution, specifically getting back to the 10th Amendment?
So there's one thing we're passing in 2 weeks, I believe. The schedule is getting, we have a tight schedule coming up. But the question, I think I already heard it, restore the Constitution. Number one, don't grow government so much. Number two, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe the Constitution will reassert itself in June or July when the Supreme Court knocks down the individual mandate. That to me, this is the healthcare law. The healthcare law mandates that every individual buy health insurance. And 26 states are challenging that because the challenge is that the Commerce Clause of the Constitution was never meant to regulate something you do not do. And if they believe if this is held as constitutional, then there really is no limit to what the federal government can do. And so every now and then, when Congress passes a law, you need to challenge the constitutionality of that law to reassert the Constitution. I think that's going to happen this upcoming summer. In June or July, the court will rule on this. Now, I could be wrong about this, but my guess is that they will rule that that is unconstitutional. Now, if that is the case, the question is, does the whole law go down, or does just what we call the individual mandate get repealed? That's going to be up to the courts. Either way, it unravels the law. So I digress a little bit, but I think they're going to have an enormous challenge on the limits of the Constitution, or the limits the Constitution places on the government in June or July. In a couple weeks, we're passing what we call the REINS Act. 31 state legislatures operate like this. They pass a law to do something, and then an agency puts out regulations to implement that law, and then those regulations come back to the state legislature, the people who wrote the law in the first place, to make sure that they jive with the original intent of the law. That's to restore the constitutional authority of the legislature, the legislative branch, the elected branch. We don't do that in the federal government. Congress passes all these vague laws. We got, what did I say, 4,200 regulations coming out of Washington next year, 219 that impose costs of over $100 million. Congress has nothing to do with any of that. So right now, Congress passes all these big and vague laws, healthcare, financial services, you name it, and then unelected government agencies write the laws. We're going to say, no, bring that back to Congress for a final vote, approval, or amendment before they become effective. So these are the things that we're doing, whether it's challenging the constitutionality of the individual mandate or bringing the regulations back to Congress. That, to me, helps restore the constitutional balance and the separation of powers to the way government works right now.
I was thinking more specifically about the 10th Amendment for the states' rights. I see so many things that are not arguably should be applied to that.
Right.
That should be brought back under the 10th Amendment for the states.
So the 10th Amendment and states' rights, and whether or not, that means Congress has to assert the 10th Amendment. That means discipline in your lawmakers. There's no substitute for that. We now, for the first time since I've been around, we require citing constitutional authority in any law that's being proposed. And if there's a challenge on that, then we have to debate that. So we're moving the ball in the direction of actually debating the Constitution, debating whether things are constitutional or not. That really didn't occur in the healthcare debate. And the idea of that is to make members of Congress, your elected representatives, more conscientious about the things they do and whether it's constitutional or not. But there's no substitute for your elected representatives applying the spirit and the letter of the Constitution by devolving power to the states. We're proposing to block grant Medicaid to the states, which already kind of run the program, can customize health care to low-income people that meets the best needs of those residents of that state. There's a good example of where we reasserted the 10th Amendment. It was the lady here and the guy in the blue over there.